Hey, what is up, guys? Um, just made a video about Facebook and how it was looking good and whatnot. Um, but I also had another stock here that was looking good to me, and it failed. It made a very similar pattern to Facebook, but there were issues with the pattern, and I kind of ignored them, and I wish I didn't. But mistakes are mistakes, and it's all part of the game. This was a $3,000 loss that I had on NTRI, and I'll kind of go over my thoughts and where I jumped in and everything. But first, let's just real quick, just look again at Facebook. What I was going for. So I was going for this kind of jump in here, right? This is where I jumped in. You can see my line, right? For Facebook, but for NTRI, I was kind of going for something similar like this, where there was a square box pattern, right, that I talked about. And that somewhat happened here on NTRI, but unfortunately, I ignored a few things that made it kind of wrong for the pattern. So I jumped in here at, I don't know, maybe even $54, and initially it looked like it was a great idea, or it really was going to work out, because when I jumped in, it went all the way up to like $55 right here. It peaked out at $55, so I was like, man, it went up a dollar since I got it already. That's 2.5% or whatever, 2% gain in like minutes. When I jumped in. And I was like, okay. And then I was like expecting the next days to kind of struggle a little bit around here, and then for it to kind of take off, right? Just like a square box pattern. But when I jumped in here at like 54, it by the end of the day it had come back down and closed. You can see at like 53.4, right? So that was unfortunate, but okay. I was like, that's all right. And I was like, okay, I'll give the stock, 5% wiggle room to move around, to shake people out. And it kind of came down, and then the next day it came and it opened and it went up a little bit, and then it kind of came down and went down and tanked and tanked and tanked, and then it hit this line right here. And once it hit this line, I knew it was in some big trouble. At this point, it was at like a minus 5% loss, I think, and this is where I was like, or actually, I think it was minus 6% by the close of the day. I was like, okay, I really want to cut it, but I'm gonna give it tomorrow to see if it's gonna come back up quickly, and if not, it's gonna be gone. So the next day, which is today, came and it of course went up a little bit and then started coming down, and I was out at like 51.3 right here. I saw it and I was like, that's it, it's done. It doesn't look like it's going to come back, and I'm really glad I left it, because now it's down another 3%. So if I didn't get out at a 6% loss, it'd be like a 9 or 10% loss now. So good thing I cut it at 6%. I don't see this coming back now. I think it needs to correct more and shake out more of the buyers that came in over here. So the problem with this stock really was it had a lot of time here um, to accumulate a lot of new buyers and resistance. So when it sold off here, a lot of these buyers were kind of like what I call stuck buyers, or praying. They're praying for the price to come back up. So it stayed down for like 4 weeks, and then it came up here again. Some institutional sponsor probably jumped in and bought a lot of shares, and then a whole bunch of people were basically happy to get out of the stock, and they sold it, right? This is where all this probably resistance came from. And this is something, when I saw it, I just kind of ignored it. Usually with a square box, you want a clear, like a small, consistent uptrend, just like how Facebook had it. So if we look at Facebook, there's a consistent uptrend here, right? And same with Applied Materials. There was a consistent uptrend before the square box, right? It didn't like sit flat for a long time before the sell off. And that was one thing that I should have just, that should have been a flag for me. But I was like, it's okay. I'll give it a shot. And then the next thing was that the the volume for this was not really too substantial, but usually, the volume clue on this isn't usually too huge of a deal. The real big problem was this here, how it just not really following that square box pattern to a T, and you really, I put my money on the line, and then I lost money. I lost like $3,000 on this. But luckily, I cut it at 6%, and I threw that money into, and immediately I threw that money into Arista Networks, which was a solid buy. And I think that stock literally today just shot up it shot up $2.50, or okay, it's at $1.39. So okay, I made us 1.16% back so far already. That's solid. Actually, maybe a little bit more too, because I bought it at such a good at a good time. But anyway, point is, and not every time you're not going to be right. I was right. I think I've been right. I mean, I was trying to say I've been right. Actually, like 70% of the time. I think not 65. I think I said 65%. To be conservative at one point, but I think I'm more right. Actually, 70% of the time. I should review them, but it's normal to cut losses. You want to optimize your dollar. I don't want to sit here now waiting on this to kind of come back, and it went down 6%, right, and then it went down now another 3%. I'm not seeing it come back for a while. And just to let you know, mathematically, if something goes down 10%, it doesn't need to go back up 10% for you to make your money. It needs to go up more than 10%. So how that works is, let's say a stock price is at $50 and it goes down 10%, right? So then it's worth $45. Now, if it goes up 10%, what is it worth? 49.5, right? So it didn't make it back up all the $50 to the $50 mark. That's because now you're going up a percentage of a lower number. So losses can eat away at you a lot quicker than you think, and that's why it's really important to cut them quickly and throw that money into a stock that is going to gain you money. All right, this right here, if this isn't a sign to you that something's going wrong with the stock, then I don't know what is. Here we were having the uptrend. It was trying to make the pattern. It was trying to come into new highs, and it sold off 10%. It fell off 10%. That's a clear sign you should be out of the stock. If anyone somehow is holding the stock from this point, I would recommend selling it, even though it's down now even more. I would recommend getting out. Now that's a different story. If you've been holding if someone who's been holding the stock from like down here, let's say. If you were lucky enough to get into the stock from down here, this might not matter to you. This is like, okay, some normal correction, whatever. Eventually, it'll go up. It's not really too much of a concern. You have some free whatever, free money working there for you, and in the long term, this stock will probably be a lot higher in value. Maybe it needs a few more weeks or something like that, but it probably will be a lot higher in value within 6 months. Hopefully I'll catch it when it comes back again. Next time, I think the buy point for me will be actually at this high, 57.5. Once it approaches this again, I'll probably consider jumping in. That way, it will have already gone through all this resistance, and I don't want to sit around while it gets through this resistance. It's not something I want to be a part of, honestly. Anyway, let's not make this video too long. Hopefully I covered everything I need to cover. And make sure to subscribe if you want to subscribe. Make sure to like it if you liked it. Make sure to not dislike it if you didn't like it. And peace out.